Welcome to MBC News. I'm Dooza Dragonash, your anchor, and I'm here this week with absolutely nobody. The rest of the team are resting somewhere or another. Well, that's Siggy, he's on holiday. Lisa is recuperating. And Malburn's writer is probably at this moment being BT'd, i.e. having a row with BT about his broadband, as he's not been seen since this morning. Now, the UK is bracing itself after an emergency budget brought in by the newly elected Tory Lib Dem coalition government, raising VAT, that's value-added tax, to 20% from a brief 17.5 post 15% that VAT was reduced to by the previous Labour government in order to provoke commerce. Now, the budget has been described by its author George Osborne as tough but fair and is intended to reduce Britain's debt in 5 years by 2011. Working with cuts to social benefits affecting the poorer families, the disabled and education, Osborne hopes not to raise taxes, that is apart from the value-added tax, and has raised the tax threshold, allowing £200 approximately relief for those who are low paid, if and when it is applied. Overall, business has sighed relief and feels it might have got off lightly. The banks also, and shares have shown a slight increase. The latest Merrill Lynch Capgemini World Wealth Report has assessed the accumulated wealth of the rich, around 10 million millionaires, has risen 19% to $39 trillion, despite cautious investing. The US has the most millionaires, while the fastest rises have been seen in India, Asia and South America. Now, it might be due to this. A site called theflyonthewall.com has been turned into the financial world's equivalent of, constant scooping with news, often beating the financial manager to his client's phone call. The website was recently banned by the US courts from using their research reports in a move by Merrill Lynch, Barclays and Morgan Stanley. However, a pair of unlikely defenders have appeared on the site's behalf, namely Google and Twitter, who have argued at the appeal that this ban, that is, in a technological age, was obsolete and would be impossible to police. Now, this year's Comic-Con, which is to be held in July in San Diego, has released the nominations for the Will Eisner Comic Industry Awards 2010. And they include Asterios Polyp, a graphic novel by David Mazzucchelli, which has received 4 nominations from the judges. It's a panel of judges. And My Mommy is in America and She Met Buffalo Bill by Jean Reynaud and Emile Bravo, and The Photographer by Emmanuel Gibert. Manga is also in the nominations, with 20th Century Boys and Pluto from Naoki Urasawa holding multiple categories. Now, for the full list, go to www.comiccon.org. That's comic-con.org. Now, the Linden Lab Second Life 7th birthday has got underway this week, as you can see, because that's where I'm sitting, on location, with an opening speech by Philip Linden, Mr. Philip Rosedale. The imagination sim was filled early and there was great good nature, and as is traditional, there were sim crashes and voice losses, but generally these setbacks were well received. And Philip Rosedale's speech was welcomed as acknowledging past mistakes, and he spoke sadly of the layoffs that have been recently made to the Lindens. He reassured residents that Linden Labs have kept the world safe with the words, "The world is safe." And on being asked by MBC News if there was any truth in the rumour that the recent streamlining might mean that Second Life was being readied for sale, he used the certainty of the word nope. So there we are, we're safe. Now, staying with Linden Labs, and in fact, Second Life's 7th birthday. The Second Life birthdays have been marked as PG traditionally, again. This definition has been given in the Second Life blog as the main grid is 18 and over, so no parental guidance is necessary. General is a better reflection of the content type than PG. We've changed that designation so it more accurately represents the type of content on those regions. That is, any resident can go there and the content should be fine for work, school or home. Now, general, it goes on to say, is a region may be designated general if it does not advertise or make available content or activity that is sexually explicit, violent, or depicts nudity. Likewise, sexually oriented objects, such as sex beds or pose balls, may not be located or sold in PG, i.e. general regions. And there we have it. Or depicts nudity. Now, artworks very often depict nudity to provoke an involvement with the piece itself at the deepest levels. And looking at naked bodies takes our minds immediately to where the artist wants to lead us. And that could be vulnerability, torture, fear, dread, isolation, loneliness, love, happiness. The most conservative estimate of the importance of the body or body language in communication between humans, and we are human phantoms behind our avatars, is that it makes up 60 to 70% of all human communication. Some would go up to 93%. Therefore, in art, as in life, the form of the body in a work of art is imperative. However, a person views the naked form in a work of art always as informed with their differing socialization. And examples of this have come to pass yet again at the SL7B, with at least 2 works of art being returned to the artists concerned. There has been huge debate and censure of the return of these pieces, and letters to Linden Labs from artists in and out of the world and other residents against the returns, with a picket at the site of the works. MBC went to talk to one of the artists themselves, Rose Borchowski, with her Sousa series, and that interview will follow this broadcast. And now for these messages. Just as we've come back from the break, we've had the news that Philip Linden, or Philip Rosedale, will be taking over from Mark Kingdon as interim CEO, and Mark Kingdon is leaving the company. Bob Coman, who is the present Chief Financial Officer, will be named as Chief Operating Officer. It's not quite sure whether he's doing both at the same time. We don't know how long this is going to last. There was some inkling yesterday at Philip Rosedale's speech at the opening of SL7B when he said that Mark had been called away. They'd had an emergency at Linden Labs. So that started everybody thinking. And analysis of Philip Rosedale's speech says that the world is safe and they aren't beholden. Well, they won't have to they're independent. They won't have to get more money from investors. And the world is safe. And here we are today with this announcement. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next, because there is no guarantee that we will not be moving on to Browserdom. As Philip did say that the walls will be coming down. They'll be filling in the moat. So people will be coming across, by the sound of it. Intrepid explorers, that is. In the meantime, I'm left wondering, what will happen to the love machine? Now, Google is offering voice to everyone in the US with the following release on their blog. We're proud of the progress we've made with Google Voice over the last few years, and we're still just scratching the surface of what's possible when you combine your regular phone service with the latest web technology. It's even more amazing to think about how far communication has come over the last couple of 100 years. Well, perhaps over the next couple of 100 years they will have released it to the rest of the world. And Entropia has released free gifts of vehicles, causing a near riot in world amongst the residents. They haven't had vehicles up to now, and apparently the teleports were filled with residents dashing backwards and forwards looking for the giver of these vehicles, which turned out to be one of the Entropia workers handing them out, and she was mobbed in a near riot. So that's it from us today in my sad and lonely perch on the top of our build SL7B looking out actually at some wonderful, wonderful builds. And as we go away, we're going to leave you with a little something to think about. But in the meantime, keep safe. Have a safe week. That is from MBC News.